Warning: the following video contains disturbing material that may be inappropriate for younger viewers. Parental discretion is advised. Carl Panzram, a man who positively loathed his fellow human beings. His 39 years on Earth saw him drift from an abusive childhood to a nomadic adulthood spent in and out of a hellish prison system. In between, he took his revenge by killing at least 21 victims and robbing and sexually assaulting many more. When he was put to death in 1930, his last action was to spit on the hangman's face and say, "Hurry up, you Hoosier bastard. I could hang a dozen men while you're fooling around." Panzram was born on a farm in Warren, Minnesota, on the 28th of June, 1891. One of 7 children in a dirt-poor German immigrant family. Theirs was a desperately hard life that became even harder when Carl was 7 years old. His father walked out one day and never came back. His mother and brothers struggled to keep the farm going, working from dusk till dawn in the fields. During this time, his brothers used to beat him unmercifully, for no reason at all. At the age of 11, he gave them a good reason. He broke into a neighbor's house and stole whatever he could find, including a handgun. His brothers beat him unconscious when they found out. Panzram was arrested for the crimes and was sent to the Minnesota State Training School in 1903, age 12. This was a brutal institution in which he was regularly beaten and sexually assaulted by staff. There, he acquired a taste for forced gay sex and an abiding hatred of authority. In 1905, he expressed his hatred by burning part of the school down. He was not identified as the culprit, however, and was able to persuade the parole panel that year that he was a reformed character. The opposite was closer to the truth. Panzram returned home for a while, went to school briefly, then later left after an altercation with a teacher. He worked on his mother's farm until, at 14, he jumped on a freight train and headed westward. For the next few years, he lived the life of a teenage hobo. He committed crimes and was a victim of them. He was sent to reform schools and broke out of them. When he was 16, in 1907, he joined the army but refused to accept the discipline and was caught trying to desert with a bundle of stolen clothes. He was dishonorably discharged and sent to the fearsome Leavenworth prison, where he spent 2 hard years breaking rocks and becoming a very strong, dangerous man. On his release, he returned to roaming. He was arrested at various times and under various names for vagrancy, burglary, arson, and robbery. One of the crimes he was not arrested for, but took particular pleasure in carrying it out, was homosexual sexual assault. Once he even sexually assaulted a police officer who was trying to arrest him. His crimes escalated in savagery, and so did his prison sentences. He served time in both Montana and Oregon. In 1918, Panzram escaped from Oregon State Prison, where he had been serving a sentence under the name Jefferson Baldwin. He decided to leave the Northeast, where he had become very well known by the police. He changed his name to John O'Leary and headed to the East Coast, where he could make the transition from a robber and a rapist to a cold-blooded killer. He began by carrying out a string of burglaries that made him enough money to buy a yacht. He would lure sailors into the yacht, get them blackout drunk, sexually assault them, kill them, and dump their bodies in the sea. This went on until the boat crashed and sank, by which time he had killed 10 men. Broke once more, Panzram stowed away in a ship and ended up in Africa. He signed on with an oil company who were drilling off the coast of the Congo. While he was there, he sexually assaulted and killed a 12-year-old boy. Then he went on a crocodile hunting expedition that ended when he killed the 6 local guides he had hired, sexually assaulted their corpses, and fed them to the crocodiles. Panzram returned to the States soon after, as witnesses had seen him engage the guides. He went on to sexually assault and murder an 11-year-old boy, George McMahon. Over the next few months, he carried out 2 more murders and numerous robberies. Finally, he was captured while in the act of burglaring a railway station. This was to be his toughest sentence yet. He began in Sing Sing prison, but proved so unruly that he was sent to an infamous establishment where he was beaten and tortured by the guards. His legs were broken and left untreated, leaving him semi-crippled and in constant pain for the rest of his life. On release in 1928, Panzram immediately carried out a string of burglaries and at least 1 more murder before being arrested again. By now, he was evidently tired of life. On arrest, he gave his real name for the first time, and while in prison in Washington, D.C., confessed to several murders of young boys. Encouraged by a prison guard with whom he struck up an unlikely friendship, he went on to write a 20,000-word account on his terrible life and crimes. This remains a remarkable document. a horrifying but unusually even-handed account of a serial killer's inner life. Following the confession, and amid the fury of the media's interest, Panzram was tried for the most recent of his murders, the strangling of Alexander Usaki. He was found guilty and sentenced to serve 25 years in federal prison in Leavenworth, Kansas. Following the sentence, Panzram warned the world that he would kill the first man to cross him when he was inside. He was as good as his word. He was given work in the laundry and one day murdered his supervisor by caving in his head with an iron bar. This time, Panzram was sentenced to hang. He positively welcomed the court's verdict and claimed that now his only ambition was to die. When anti-death penalty campaigners tried to have his sentence renounced, he ungraciously wrote them to say, "I wish you all had one neck and I had my hands on it." Shortly afterwards, on September 3rd, 1930, his wish to die was granted and was duly hanged. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment who you think the next serial killer is going to be. And also remember to comment down below anything having to do with the video for a chance to be on a daily shoutout. You can also follow me or reach out to me on Twitter, and I have a Twitch channel that I play some games on. Both will be linked in the description down below. Until next time, guys, sweet dreams.